Hello and welcome to the second session of the Infigo and printIQ Connect printIQ webinar. This morning we met and we covered quite a range of topics, and we're excited this afternoon, UK time of course, to be meeting with our American and Canadian counterparts. We're very lucky today to have a great team and a very important person as well joining us to go through and explain how the partnership and Connect printIQ works. So let me just take you through today's agenda, or the session agenda. We're going to meet the team first of all, a background into Infigo and the printIQ solution. We're going to hear some updates from the printIQ team, and then we're very lucky to have a live demo provided to us by Paul and Alex from the technical side. And then we'll speak to Eric from the Voom group, who will tell us firsthand what it's like to be a customer of both Infigo and printIQ. And then finally, we'll open the floor up to some questions and answers, giving you an opportunity to ask any question. And we welcome any question. There's no such thing as a silly question in that debate. First of all, we'd like everyone who's on today's session to jump in the chat and just tell us quickly where they're from. Ideally, which country would be great, territory, where they're based, and what company. So please, if you've got 5 seconds, jump in and just show us that the chat's working for you. Tell us where you're from. And if you've got anything you're looking forward to learning today or anything you want to ask, now's the time to jump in there. You'll also notice there's some emojis as well. So if you want to share your emotion at any point, or support, or maybe some laughter, then please feel free. So we have got a lot of people jumping in straight away. Fantastic. Mostly Canadian and American so far. Brilliant. Excellent. I can't keep up with how quickly these are coming through, so I'm just going to say that's brilliant. Oh, Puerto Rico, got that one. Fantastic. Okay, so throughout this session, we'll be putting up polls as well. We would obviously like you all to take part and share your thoughts so we can analyze some of the data later on. And again, please keep the questions coming and jump in the chat where possible. So the team today, just going to go through, first of all, I'm Chris, I'm from Infigo, and I head up the marketing here. Then we'll be joined by Paul Bromley, head of sales at Infigo. Alex and Paul will also help us from a technical standpoint. And then in this afternoon's session, we're delighted to have Craig Powell join us from the US sales team from printIQ. So just before we jump into the first poll, I'm going to bring Paul Bromley into the fray. Paul, thank you again for joining us for the second time today. An interesting scenario here. You've obviously worked for both Infigo and printIQ. But one of the questions that I always wanted to ask you was when you were selling printIQ and working with those guys, what was different about printIQ compared to the competition?
First, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for asking that question, Chris. So yeah, I've been both a printIQ and an Infigo employee, and at my time at IQ, I'll say that the big standout thing was there was twofold really: the user interface and the product. With it being cloud-based and very intuitive, makes it very appealing for businesses nowadays, because the print knowledge isn't there in abundance in staff, potentially for the new wave of staff coming through a business. So a system needs to be simple to use, but very intuitive and also powerful behind the scenes. And my time at IQ, that was nailed on. You know, it was just a fantastic system to use. Very proud to sort of promote that and go and see companies with it, because you knew that it would make a difference. And then secondary to that was the power behind the logo, which was the team and the development. So Infigo and IQ are very, very similar in the fact that they want to be innovative. They want their product to be best in class. So I'd say those are the two takeaways, really: simplicity, but also the innovation and the development roadmap, which is really important for software applications nowadays.
Okay, brilliant. And so they're clearly a very good fit. What was the value you saw from a printIQ point of view when you saw both going into your customer's workshop?
Yeah, you knew with confidence that it would make a difference. So, it's very bold statement that, but when you've got customers like Eric will no doubt testament to later on, you know that it will do things that maybe other systems can't do, such as, is it maybe a clunky interface? Is it hard to get new staff to use it? And I think change is the big thing for both systems, whether it's Infigo, whether it's an IQ MIS system. It's adapting or adopting that change. And if a system is very simple to use and very nice on the eye, but also, as I say, it's got the power behind it and the pistons to go if you want to push it through its paces, then that was the big difference at IQ. And then the integration into Infigo, that simplicity and that seamless bi-directional communication that frees up the team as well. That was another big thing. So yeah, the innovative piece was high on the agenda for a lot of companies when I spoke to people.
And I guess now switching to the other side, being with Infigo, has that strength? Is that argument strengthened for you, seeing how the data now starts from the web to print going into printIQ?
Yeah, definitely. I think the difference now is, you're more dealing with front of house and how you can assist and help businesses to turbo boost revenue streams. And I think that is massively important to any business nowadays, is to look at themselves and see how they can evolve as a company. Don't put too much strain on the overheads of maybe adding bodies. Look at different methods and different ways of doing that. And one thing I've seen at Infigo is, if you can put a custom or purpose-built B2B or B2C portal in your business, then you'll definitely reap the rewards. Now, that then brings challenges, and this is where we're well based now to be consultative and say, okay, if your website is a success, which we know it will be, then you will get pain points then throughout the business, and this is where IQ then, almost flatlines those challenging waves of fluctuations in the business that could come through in regards to job numbers, and eases that through production. So yeah, very important.
Okay. And what are you seeing in terms of requirements from the customer right now? What are they kind of asking you for when it comes to their workflow?
Yeah, seamless removal of touch points, integration into an array of products. So, we've got IQ, but we also want it integrated to other platforms. The ability to have a very strong and robust API. So companies now are becoming more tech savvy. In the days gone by, an API would be a question that you'd ask to a business, and they'd look at you as if to say you're speaking in a different language. And what is an API? We'd be keen to learn about it because it sounds quite interesting. But nowadays, we're finding that people are asking us, how good, how robust is your API? What can it do? Tell us about the limitations. We're not too worried about what it can do. So I would say that companies now are more tech savvy, and they are a long way down the journey of the evaluation process when we get to talk to them now. And I would say most commonly, one of the first questions is, can we see your API? Give us a link to it, gives a token, gives you documentation. So that's definitely key, but simplicity as well. So people do not want tech-heavy products nowadays, and I think one of the things that Infigo is striving to do is by simplifying that process either through a store build or through an integration. And as we've done with IQ, which is probably one of our most in-depth pieces of innovation and integration, we are now pushing the connection communication to its limits.
Okay, thanks, Paul. That's a great insight. I'm just going to bring Craig in. Hey, Craig, nice to meet you. Before we, get your thoughts on today, if you could share a little bit about how IQ is positioned from the North American standpoint for those that are maybe not too familiar, and also share a bit of information about your role.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, and really, it's good to have build on what Paul just said there. I think you heard a lot of the same things that I'd like to point out, in that printIQ as a company have a strong presence back to our foundations over in the Australian and New Zealand markets, but over the last 6 or 7 years have started to push more into North America, including here in the United States as well as in Canada. And we're doing so by paying attention and listening to what markets need. We're proud to be one of the most robust offerings in the market when it comes to an MIS product. We are one of the only ones who can really mix and match types of printing disciplines all in the same platform. So the power that you have there to be able to, handle all the different revenue streams inside of a business when it comes to the products that you produce inside one product that can act as the core of your business. We just continue to see great results from companies who are able to, choose our product. And so it's been great to build on that. We're very aggressive with listening to our customers, with listening to things that they need. 80% of all of the development that goes in from the IQ side is all customer initiated requests and things that are real world, needs that they have for their business. So we continue to build on that inside of the DNA of printIQ, to listen, to put forward all of those suggestions and ideas into a product that continues to, grow for what people need for their business. We're coming off a record-breaking year in 2023, the largest banner year for IQ in our history, and we're looking to continue pushing forward, which includes things like partnerships with Infigo. We hear customers have a need for continuing to push and try to achieve the dream of automation inside their business, and that all starts with having a core central part, which is the need we fill from an MIS standpoint of all of the data flowing in and out of the business. But then that also includes having a really good, robust option, on the front end of receiving orders in through a web to print. And we're proud to, have a dedicated integration with Infigo as we're excited to share with everybody today.
Thanks, Craig. Is there anything in particular you're looking forward to today from the demonstration?
I think that building on conversations that we've had, one of the things that we are proud to always talk about when it comes to what works with Infigo is really just how robust we've been able to get with not just receiving information, but also feeding information back. The bi-directional capabilities of that integration continue to get better all the time. And having systems that talk to each other in a really robust way allows for you to be more seamless in your workflow. So I'm just excited to continue to see the evolution of that today.
Awesome, Craig. Please stay with us for the Q&A as well, and we look forward to talking to you more. Thanks a lot. Thanks, gentlemen. Okay, so I'm going to jump into the first poll. We're going to ask how many of you currently have an MIS solution. Let's see what the numbers are. Okay, interesting. So, oh no, it's still changing. Hold your horses, Chris. Okay, so it looks like we're just coming up to 50% of you do have. Oh, we do not integrate with web to print, but you do have an MIS. So, of course, I'm strongly going to suggest that you do want to look at web to print and integrate with it. 23% don't currently have one, so I'd suggest you talk to printIQ on that. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. So as part of today, really, one of the repeated messages is going to be about workflow automation, and both Infigo and printIQ fit part of it. Can be a small, medium, or large workflow, but also can work with other partners and other systems as well. There's a diagram you'll see on the screen right now, and it shows the myriad of options that you can have between different partners to create an automated workflow, and the panacea that we really would like to help you achieve, which is lights out automation. This is a lovely segue into our technical segment with Alex and Paul, who are now going to take you through not just the basics of the integration, but also some of the bells and whistles that you can expect in the future. So I'm now going to hand the floor over to Alex. Good afternoon, Alex.
Thank you, Chris. Good afternoon and good morning to everyone. I'm Alex, Technical Operations Director here at Infigo. Been here for 10 years now. Have watched not just the business grow, but the product. And was part of the initial kind of partnership process that we went through with printIQ many years ago, and have been heavily involved in the Connect printIQ plugin that you see today, and obviously working closely alongside Paul for the last two and a half, 3 years, and his predecessors before him. So yeah, really excited to show you what we've got today, but obviously also keen to emphasize that this is as a product and a partnership will continue to grow and evolve. Similar to what Craig said earlier, like a lot of the things that we have included in this printIQ plugin have been from direct feedback from mutual customers using it. And so this will continue to grow, and it won't be in the same position that it is in now in another 2.5 years' time. It will continue, and it's a key focus for us as a business.
Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Paul. I'm the technical integration specialist for printIQ, one of a couple. But I was part of the team that worked directly with Alex for the last 2.5 years, based on feedback from customers and requirements to essentially bring the integration to where it's at today and continue to work closely with him to drive it forward. So really looking forward to taking everyone through what we have as an offering, and yeah, look forward to any questions at all.
That's right. Yeah, if anybody does have any questions at any point, as Chris mentioned, pop them in the chat, and we'll try and answer them as we go. But this is the fun part of the webinar, the live demo. So please bear with us. But our key focus with this integration is twofold, really. And again, many have touched on it in the build up to this piece, but it's really to improve speed to market for our mutual customers. And this is a blend of our native Infigo tools alongside the additional functionality that the Connect printIQ plugin provides. And that's from creating branded storefronts to having products, pricing and orders flowing quickly and seamlessly between the systems. And then secondly, to improve efficiency through automation. And that's removing manual touch points, again, seamless data flowing between the systems, and then a single source of truth, which is printIQ in this instance. Our Connect printIQ plugin is our most in-depth and most powerful plugin ever. It is the one that we have invested the most time, effort, resource in. And a few of the highlights that we're going to cover today include demonstrating how you can sync products, both inventory and sales item products and static print-on-demand products from printIQ into Infigo, fetching live inventory and stock levels directly from printIQ, creating quotes and returning back real-time pricing, and then pushing orders into printIQ so that they can then take over the production process, and then lastly fetching status updates back so that you can keep your customers in the loop on how their orders and jobs are progressing. So firstly, before we get into the details of the plugin, I'll touch on this, but just briefly. We've got other materials on it and other information, so afterwards if you want to get in touch about this specific part, then let us know. But we have worked tirelessly over the last 12 to 18 months on providing our customers with tools to create storefronts that may or may not look like this. And so this is a fairly standard B2B portal that we see us making for our customers and our customers making. And we have the tools under the hood that allow to do this. And that's from a storefront creation form, where at the point of creating a storefront, you would upload your logo, your branding colors, fonts, imagery, and then it would create the storefront out of the box with those preset as part of the theme. And then we have our CMS Plus content templates that allow you to configure and control content on your site, like this banner, allowing you to have content administrators instead of web developers that are maintaining your Infigo storefront. But onto the plugin. So let's assume you've already created a nice storefront that looks like this, and now you want to get some products on there and start taking orders. And using Connect printIQ, that is a fairly straightforward process. So I'll jump into the admin. At the moment in our products list, we have a handful of products, but these are just demo ones that we've created in order to make the storefront look nice. So what I'll do now is I will actually create some products from printIQ and have them pushed directly into Infigo. So I'm going to jump into my printIQ admin. I'm going to navigate to a sales item. This is my Infigo beer label. I'm just going to edit something on here. Obviously, this works the same as if you were to edit or create a product. And then under the hood, that is triggering a webhook into Infigo to create a product if it doesn't exist, or update a product if it already does exist in Infigo. I'm going to do the same for a static print-on-demand product now. So here we've got my promo static sign. Maybe we want to change the stock that it's being produced on. Update that. So what will now happen is a trigger will be queued in printIQ and to send that information into Infigo. What we also support alongside products is the creation of categories. So if you have your products arranged into a hierarchical category structure in printIQ and you want to replicate that in Infigo, you can do that. So we will create the categories, we'll pull in the imagery, the category names, and we'll insert those products in it so that you can have a similar navigational structure for your customers to navigate the storefront with. Alternatively, you can use our own categories to create a more complex hierarchy, and then it will dump those products from printIQ into a dummy category for you to then move thereafter. So here we've got one product come in, which is the first one I modified, which is my stock product. So you'll see it's come in with as a type of stock. It's pulled in the product imagery. It's got the full description, and then if I jump into the product variant, it's also pulling in things like the fact we want to track inventory. You can specify the minimum and maximum basket quantities from printIQ, and also whether you want to allow back orders or not. You'll see here it's got a stock quantity of 10,000, but that's just our default value, and that we will ignore because we will pull that inventory level live from printIQ when we need it. If you had quantity tiers that you had applied to your products in printIQ, we'd also replicate them here. So if you wanted to restrict the quantities you want your customers to order in, that will also create the quantity tiers and restrict the customer in the UI here as well. If I jump back to the product list, we should have our second product here. Yeah, so here it's a promo static sign. And here you'll see the type is a static PDF. So what this has also done in Infigo when it's created the product, it's also created the static PDF part. So here we've already got the print-ready artwork file that was supplied from printIQ, so that when it's ordered, we can push that back in with the job. So let me jump into the front end and show you what that looks like. I will show you the stock product and also the static print-on-demand product. So static promo sign, here again, the display and design of this page you can configure, but I will just put in a quantity of 100. And then under the hood, what this is doing is this making a request to printIQ for that specific SKU and the quantity, and it's returning the price back, and it's also creating that quote in printIQ, which I'll show you in a moment. The other product we created was the stock product, and here you'll see the live inventory level for this in printIQ at this moment in time. So we are making a request every time we display this to the customer and validating it on order submission to make sure that there is available stock. And again, I will enter in a quantity under the hood. That's again creating an estimate or a quote in printIQ and returning that price back to our customer. So if I jump into printIQ now and go to my quotes, here we have my static promo sign and my beer label. Paul, do you want to tell us a little bit about the information you can see here?
Yeah, absolutely. So from a storefront side, the information that the customers will want to see is kept low key. It's obviously the stuff that they need to know what they're ordering. But when it comes to printIQ and it's creating the quotations, it's really holding all of the core information that's required. So a customer in their eyes is ordering a really simple product, but as we know from a print perspective, there's a lot more to it. So in the case of the static sign, what we'll be doing is calculating all of the not only the sell price, but we'll be calculating the raw cost price of everything that goes into that job itself, but including the time that's required and stuff like that. And that's the simplicity of doing it, is by, with like what Alex was saying, with syncing the products, that traditionally both sides, the web to print and the MIS system, would need to house that product. In this scenario where printIQ is becoming the source of truth, we're putting the products themselves directly into printIQ with all of the information that's required to produce it and pushing that data forward. So from a traditionally integration from a web to print system in MIS would cover removing double entry. In this case, we're removing double entry when it comes to actually making updates and general maintenance to your product library.
Yep. Thank you, Paul. So I'm going to add my products to my basket. And then here, traditional kind of e-commerce basket cart. We have the option to type in my delivery instructions. And of course, you can offer things like discount codes and so on. Then I go through my checkout.
I think one thing is worth adding as well, Alex, one of the other bits we've added in, obviously, when it comes to payments and stuff like that, is the option for additional checkout attributes based on the storefront. So obviously, if customers need to provide additional data against the purchase orders, such as cost centers and other info that needs to come through, obviously, that Infigo developed those extra fields now, which also sync back to printIQ. So it's just everything's there.
And a fairly complex mapping as well as to where you want it to appear in printIQ once it makes its way in.
And again, like where you are now, that's another example, isn't it, of this?
Yeah, exactly. So we have integrations with numerous couriers, but we also have an integration with EasyPost that integrate obviously globally with couriers and services worldwide. And you can create a mapping in our Connect printIQ plugin that translates from what you're offering the customer and the selections they make in Infigo to the shipping methods that you have set up in printIQ, so that when that sales order comes through, your dispatchers know exactly what method they need to use in order to dispatch that job based on what the customer has selected that they think they want and the amount that they've potentially paid for it. Secondly, then we have a number of payment gateways if you wanted to offer credit and debit card payments, from Stripe to WorldPay, PayPal, Authorize.net, but obviously also purchase order. And we have the ability to upload a file here if you wanted to allow your customers to provide those files, their purchase order files. Let me just select one. This could be anything. And a purchase order number. Oh dear, it's the wrong size. I'll leave that for now. And then I can confirm my order. I get an overview of this. And as an end user, an end customer, I can then be sent a order confirmation email from Infigo that will be branded and give them a summary of the order that they've just placed. What's happening under the hood then is for our stock items, they're being collated, and our static PDF products, we're actually generating the output and getting that job ready in order to then push it into printIQ once everything's ready. Paul, would you like to jump in and take over from what happens on the printIQ side?
I would love to. I'm just going to quickly swap over to my screen. So there you go, it should be up now. Is that now shared?
That should be in, yep.
Super. So yeah, Alex touched on it briefly beforehand. Whenever a request is made to printIQ for pricing or stock quantity, etc., certainly with the pricing side of things, a quote will get generated in printIQ to obviously get the latest costings. So one of the things that part of the integration that was introduced a few years ago now, what that's going to reduce is the requirement to hold pricing in both systems. So it's been a pain point for many years where every time a price had changed within the MIS platform or production, it would have to be brought forward to the actual web to print. With the pricing being real time between printIQ and Infigo, it means that the price is always up to date. You still have the ability within printIQ to fix contract rate pricing for your customers, but you can leave the pricing totally real time. So what happened when Alex accepted the order on the Infigo side is that this quote 6775 was created, and Infigo sends the message to printIQ to create the quote and then accept it. Any additional notes obviously get passed through. And what we'll find is now, if we go to the orders page within IQ, which is the sort of initial landing point, we'll see that we've now had the order created for not only the promo static sign, but also the sales order or stock item in printIQ world. So both avenues of the jobs that are here can either be done internally or externally. So the product part of the order itself, that could be produced in-house on equipment that's based there, and that contains all of the job information, how the item needs to be produced and how it needs to flow through the shop floor. But it can also be fully outsourced, and that can be done manually or automated or even partially done. So if these posters, for example, are being printed in-house but laminated externally, then we can set printIQ up to know that that needs to be done against the product. So when it hits a certain point in production, it splits off and the job is sent out for outsource and received back in. And the same goes for the stock items as well. Stock itself could be internal or external. So on this morning's session, the guests that joined us, we worked with them for a warehouse integration. And whenever the store items or stock items are coming into printIQ, this is automatically sent out again via the API to the relevant party. If I break into the job itself and I'll open the sales item up in the background, what we see against a printed item, in this case, it's quite simple because it's a poster. But what we'll see within this is the items that are required to get this through production and where the job's up to. If we look down the right hand side, we'll also see that the Infigo order number is placed within here, so it's easy to report and track on what job is related to what Infigo order in case there's any phone calls or anything requesting details. And then from a delivery perspective, what we'll see there is the delivery price has been passed through. So that price which was sold to the customers passed through, and we store the actual price. And we also store any, obviously, delivery notes that are placed in. So if delivery instructions are placed on checkout, then these can be shown at this point here. They can be output on delivery notes wherever the customer needs them to be. If I switch over now to the stock side of things, what we'll see within this is similar information, but a bit more cut down. We'll see the additional notes that Alex placed in the order, as well as the order number. We'll also see the real-time stock level, which what we'll notice there is that stock level is different to what we saw originally. Whenever orders are placed within printIQ and Infigo, the stock is reserved for the order that's placed until the item's been picked. So once I've gone in here now, if I act as the person on the shop floor who's doing the picking and packing, if I click to pick the item, I can do this via barcode, from a tablet, from a phone. I can even print off a traditional packing slip and work that way. So there's multiple routes within printIQ to actually fulfill and pack the item. I'm just going to confirm that, which says I've picked the item and packed it. And what we'll see here now is the status of that job will change. The good thing about printIQ is if we're working from the stock side of things, if I'm working in the stock department here, just refresh the screen, what we'll see within this is on all of the job boards, if an order itself contains not only a printed product but a stock item, we'll see that the items are linked. So if I'm working from the stock board doing picks, I can see within this that there's other items that are linked to this job. So I know, okay, I'm picking this item to go out the door, but what I know is that I can't dispatch that item until the other items are finished. So to cut the area a bit short, what I'm going to do here is mimic that the job has actually gone through production and been fully produced, which will put this job into a finished production state. What I can do from this point here is dispatch the item. So I can do that from within the job, from the dispatch board. Depending on how I'm operating printIQ, I can do it in one of a couple of places. At this point here, much like Infigo, we also integrate with multiple third parties to provide courier and data. So if I create a consignment from here and I'm using freight integration, then certainly like FedEx, for example, who it's been selected, what this will do is call out to the FedEx API and it will book the consignment in, return the actual cost of the consignment. So we've got what we've sold it for, what we've paid for it, and it will produce the labels that need to be printed. So not working out of two screens, I'm working out of a single interface, which is printIQ. In this case, this is a manual shipment. It hasn't got any freight integration enabled in the site. But if I put in example consignment number within that, just to fill the box out, so that's where your traditional tracking number, consignment number would go if you're doing this manually. And at the point of me hitting create consignment, what this will do now is within printIQ, it will create any delivery notes that I need to pack with the job. But it's now going to send out a status update to Infigo. So it's going to let Infigo know that this job has now been dispatched in its entirety. And here's the tracking information, which will then, if requested, that can trigger an email to the customer.
Just another point to point out, Paul, at the top there, you've got your invoice paid and dispatched flags. So we also send that information into printIQ. So obviously the order I placed was using a purchase order.
Yeah.
And we have a configuration, so you can decide how you want the integration to behave. But in this instance, because it was on purchase order, we don't want printIQ to assume that it's been invoiced and it's being paid, because it hasn't. The idea is that you'll invoice it later. But if you were to pay via credit card in Infigo, you can change that behavior to let printIQ that it has been invoiced, it has been paid, so then nothing else needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely correct. So like Alex said, if you're paying via credit card, these fields will both be marked as yes. And that just means that there's an invoice produced with a payment marker, which can be exported out to the accounts package automatically. So it saves having to get a job within printIQ, raising an invoice, checking whether it's been paid in Infigo. If the job's been paid, Infigo tells printIQ that. So it's a simple export at the end just to get the final invoice into the books. I think it's worth touching on, Alex, as well, as what we've done collectively in the dispatch area is that in some instances a job won't be dispatched in its entirety. And we recently, within the last year, worked on a development together, didn't we, to enable partial shipping. So if stock was partially fulfilled or an order was partially fulfilled, then whatever the quantity of, or even if it's a 5-item order and only one item's gone, that data is passed back to Infigo now. So the customer gets an email to say that an order is partially fulfilled. So it's all about that two-way communication between the platforms, which keeps the customers up to date. And it saves the account managers getting phone calls to ask where things are. It's always up to date between the two platforms. So one of the things we can check now is if I grab the Infigo order reference and pop back to the Infigo platform, what we'll see within this is any of the orders that have gone out. So Alex, this is where you might need to give me a hand.
Yeah, so if you go, yeah, that's it. So you'll see the top status 6832, that's marked as shipped. And if you expand that.
Yeah, so if I expand that out, and what we'll see within this now is that, like Alex said, the order's now shown as shipped. And where I put my example tracking number in, that's now put that into the Infigo order. So that would have gone to the customer. And the same with the shipped quantity. I shipped this one in its entirety, but if I had it done, then obviously it would show that difference there.
Yeah, and then from Infigo, you can brand and create your customized notifications to customers so that they can receive an email to let them know it's dispatched. There's full touch on if it's a partial shipment, how many, and if it contains the tracking information, they can access that directly.
Yeah. Sorry, Carol, mate.
Now, just one last thing I wanted to quickly demonstrate. If if you're done, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. Do a swap
Yeah.
over screen.
Yeah, is our latest piece of development. So obviously what we've shown you so far is demonstrating quite a significant integration, but it's all based on you having SKUs and products created in printIQ up front, which is great because that allows you to create those products again in Infigo seamlessly. But it does carry with it some restrictions over the amount of products you potentially want to offer, and also there's an overhead of creating those up front. So what we have been working on alongside this is the ability to create custom quotes. So historically, when you're creating a product manually and not via the sync, you will have the ability to enter in your static print on demand SKU here, or now select from a list of sales item product codes here. So what this is doing under the hood is this is querying your printIQ instance and returning all of your stock product codes or sales item codes here. So I can select from this list. That just helps with any sort of errors that may occur when you're typing in a series of numbers and letters. And then we've got our custom piece. And now what this allows you to do is to build up a product mapping in Infigo to a printIQ estimate based on components from stock, front and back color, number of pages, finish size, fold, section and job operations. And so here I can create a base product against my Infigo product that will be a single section product. It will be produced on a 100 gloss stock. It will be CMYK front, no color back, and it will be an A4 size. So I can create that, and the next time someone accesses that page, those are the parameters that it will use in order to create a quote in printIQ. What I can also do then is offer the customer options to make modifications to that estimate on the fly. And so here we offer size, material, finish. If I look at material, for example, we offer one here, but you could have 5 or 6. So I could actually create another material stock type here. And this might be, I don't know, 150 GSM to the customer. And then map a different stock type for that specific selection. So instead of 100 gloss text, it might actually be 100 matte cover, for example. And then I can save this. And now what that will do is if the customer was to use 100 GSM, it would pass that to stock. And if they were to select 150 GSM, it would pass the gloss text. And those products that you'd previously had to create in printIQ are no longer necessary for this to work. So it can mean you can offer custom sizes. It can mean you can be really quite flexible. But the experience to the end customer is no different to what I showed you in the other journey, where they're just selecting potentially sizes, materials, stocks, finishes, but under the hood, it's creating a custom quote.
Yeah, I think it's really important, Alex, isn't it? In the day and age we are where there's a lot of customization in the world that end users want, it means we can put all of them offerings in a lot quicker and easier without having to create a product for every variant. So modifying and changing things just becomes so much quicker.
Yep.
Thanks, gentlemen. Alex, thank you very much for that little insight as well. We had some questions coming in while you were demonstrating that. We'll bring them into the Q&A straight away. So we'll start with those. Thank you very much. I'm now just going to wake everybody up with a bit of a poll, and we're going to ask you how many of you currently use a web to print platform. Okay, how many of you currently use a web to print platform? Let's get some answers in there. Okay, interestingly, so 37% don't have a web to print platform. 27% do, but they do not integrate with their MIS system. 23% do and are fully integrated. And 13% do, but are considering a change. So some interesting numbers there. Okay, so following that fantastic demonstration by Paul and Alex, we're just going to bring in our guest today, which is Eric from the Voom Group. Good afternoon or good morning, Eric, for you. First of all, for those that don't know you, just give us a little introduction into yourself and the Voom Group.
I am Eric Schlarb. Nice to meet everybody. I am a lifelong printer. I got into the printing business when I was about 13 years old and went to work for a next door neighbor. And I just kind of fell in love with it. There's just a lot of aspects of it that I liked. And so I stuck with it. And my first 20 years of the printing business, I worked for 3 different printers. And then about 20 years ago, in 2002, I started this company, and I've been successfully unemployed ever since.
Fantastic. So, what's an average day look like for you, Eric?
Well, there is no such thing as an average day for me, I don't think. But we're not a giant company. We're a smaller company, I think, probably than most of the customers that are on this journey and trying to do what we've been able to do. So, my days go from maybe being on a lift installing graphics at a customer's location to there's days that I go back and run machines, and then there's days that I work on my integration, and so there's no such thing as an average day, but that's part of what I like about it. So
sounds like an interesting role. So obviously you're I say obviously, but you're a customer of both printIQ and Infigo. Which solution did you implement first? And tell me a bit about the order of that and why.
We started first with printIQ, mostly just because the MIS system that we had was just so dated. It was a great system when we started with it, but that was in the early 2000s, and it just stopped developing. It stopped growing, and it just became unusable, I think, in relation to what we knew we could do. And it just took too long to do estimates. Customer service it just took too much work to do customer service, to get estimates quickly for customers, to get jobs into production, managing production. It just became too much, and we were looking for something that was a lot more, that had the ability to be more automated, but just gave us more speed at being able to respond to customers and get things moving. So printIQ was first, and then that was just, I guess, about a year and a half ago. And then we followed up pretty quickly after that, right about a year ago with Infigo, because we wanted to be able to get the full integration from our storefront to into production. So that was our third attempt at web to print, and the first one is actually started. I think our first web to print was 2011, and it was not expensive, but it also didn't work really well for us. We kept it for a long time. We had a few customers that used it, but it was never really successful for us. It just took too long to build customer sites, to build products. Customer adoption wasn't great. It was clunky. So it was a real challenge to get all of those things kind of working together. But the second system we tried was nice. It was slick like Infigo. It looked professional. It was polished, but it was a much smaller company and they just didn't have the development that you see with Infigo, and the ability to integrate was just not there. I think it could have been there, but it was just almost too challenging to try and do, and they were very difficult to work with, which is a very different experience working with Infigo. So
very kind of you. Were there any challenges, Eric, with either system, and if there were, how did you guys overcome those?
I think mostly our biggest challenges were having the time to do it. We have very limited resources. Most of that was me. Changing MIS is as a printing company owner, probably one of the most painful and difficult things that you can do. So making the decision to take that step is a tough thing to do, and you're going to devote a ton of time to it, and you've got to get everybody in the building on board with it, and it's just a lot of work. So we put that off for a long time, and then executing it was just challenging just to be able to find the time to do it. But as far as, working with printIQ and working with Infigo to get things done, it just takes time. It's a process. There's a lot to it, especially if you're trying to do it with very few people and very few resources. So I think, where we've come in the year is, I'm pretty impressed with it. I'm pretty happy with where we've come, and where we have to go from here is looking pretty promising too. So
excellent. Great feedback, Eric. What were the benefits that you realized once you started to have a connected workflow?
Yeah, it just, when we finally really got things working, being able to take, so we're a very diverse printer. We have lots of different kinds of machines. We do offset, we do digital, we do large format, we do laser engraving. So part of the challenge is getting jobs into the production workflow into all those different machines with, everything being so different. And it doesn't work for everything that we do. Most of what we do is very custom. You can't build a product for a customer for everything that they order, although I don't think it's that maybe undoable. We'd love to just put quotes online for people to order their jobs. It may not be too far in the future that you can do that. But being able to iterate products, get them up fast, and then be able to completely offload those things that can be done to, away from customer service. We're at this point this week, we finally started working directly with the printIQ and Infigo APIs, and now we have communication between our, not only printIQ and Infigo, but into Zoho, which is our CRM, into our accounting, into we use a third party. We use our integration with printIQ to calculate shipping costs, but we actually do our shipping in a third party software. And now we're able to have orders come in, in the middle of the night, and before customer service is even here, those orders can be produced. They show up at a print device ready to print. We print it. If it's an order business cards, you print it, you slit it, you slap it in a box, and you scan a barcode, and a label prints out, and it's out the door. So I don't think you can be any more automated than that, other than embodied robots that can run the machines. I don't know. We don't want that, but it's just really giving us the ability to not be interrupted by the things that are simple and that you don't need to do. And ironically, the list of things that are simple keep growing. The more we do, the more we learn things that we didn't think we could do a couple months ago. We see ways, okay, well, we know how we can build this product now and make this be an automated thing too. So every time we add something to a customer's storefront, or make it available for them, it's just one less thing that we have to do to make those orders go, and it allows us to focus on the other things and getting more business, which is what we really want to do.
It's the most important thing. That sounds fantastic. It's great to hear that you've moved on your automated journey as well now, and you've brought 2 more systems into the workflow. So congratulations on that. What would you say to anyone who's got either one of the software pieces, Infigo or printIQ, and maybe they're looking to, or they've got one and looking at the other? What would you say to those guys?
I think it's just emphasizing the power of that integration. I mean, you guys did a good job of demonstrating it, but I don't think you realize until you have it how powerful it is. Our previous attempts, part of the problem with managing that is keeping pricing updated over here. Our storefront, once you have a certain number of products, just the challenge of keeping pricing updated is a big job. And now if we go to purchase a new order of banner stands and our price changes $3, then we have the ability to change that hardware price in printIQ in one place, and every customer that orders banner stands that doesn't have a price locked in can automatically adjust. So we don't have to manage a lot of things. A lot of the things that are the challenge of keeping these things going are just eliminated. So I think, I would say, look at that and look at how much time you spend doing those things that you just won't have to do anymore. And I think at that point, the value is pretty evident. It really is kind of the only way to go. I just think it just doesn't get any easier than this. And I would say, if you don't have that, you really need to probably find a way to do it. I think that's what drew us into Infigo to begin with. And it's really been pretty incredible how much we've been able to accomplish. Like I say, with pretty limited resources and not a lot of people. We're a 20 employee company. It's,
Okay.
it feels like something that only giant printers can do, but it's becoming kind of in reach for us smaller guys, and I think we can compete with anybody.
Thanks, Eric. That's great advice. I'm just going to, if you could just hold on for us for a minute, because we're going to bring you into the Q&A. We're going to run another poll. It's our final poll of the session. How many of you are working with a fully automated workflow like Eric? How many of you are working with a fully automated workflow? Okay, let's see what we've got on numbers on the board. This is the last poll of the session, and then we're going to dive into a Q&A with everybody on the call. And we also welcome in Rob as well from printIQ UK. Craig as well will join us. So far we have 54% of you have a workflow that's somewhat automated, but we have gaps. Okay, there's always room for improvement. 30% of you have a workflow that's not automated, but we're interested in starting. Well, there's plenty of people on this session that can help you with that. And 4% of you have a workflow that's not automated, and we're not sure we will make a change. Well, listening to what Eric just said, it's definitely worth the investment. Okay, thank you, everybody. I'm just going to open up the floor a bit now and start with some questions. But before we do, let's just jump back into the questions we had during the demo. Let's jump into. Okay, so John Bailey, he was messaging in when Alex and Paul were in the middle of their demo. Going back a bit, if a user is updating quantities on Infigo, does it create a new quote instance in printIQ each time, or is it just one instance that is updated if they change the quantity?
Yeah, so currently it's a new estimate each time based on the quantity changes they make. What we have got in Infigo, what we've built in is without getting too technical, is a short-term temporary cache. So if your request, or if you have lots and lots of customers all requesting the same thing, and all of the parameters are the same, we won't necessarily reach out to printIQ and create another estimate. We'll take it from that cache, so it'll be instant, and it also won't mean that you're creating lots of duplicate same estimates shortly after each other. But at the moment, if you change a quantity, then it will create a new estimate in printIQ and return the prices against that new estimate.
Yeah,
thanks, Alex.
That is feedback we've had on that one, Alex. So there is something in the background, and we're working on that. So that should hopefully become a thing of the past.
So the answer to that question, John, might be different if you ask us again in 6 months.
Thank you, chaps. So just carrying on from there, John, another John this time. We currently have a storefronts built in WooCommerce. Can we integrate web to print capability, or will the storefronts need to be rebuilt? I mean, Alex, for you.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so I mean, you can use our API to. So in order to use the Connect printIQ integration, you have to have an Infigo storefront, and depending on what part and what elements of that integration you want to use depends. So if you just wanted to push orders into printIQ, then you could make an API request from your WooCommerce site to Infigo to place an order, and that will then travel through into printIQ and pass all the relevant information. If you wanted to have live inventory and creating quotes and everything like that, you would need to natively build your storefront again, or subsequent storefronts in Infigo to really get all of that functionality.
Thanks, Alex. Craig asks, for each unique product, can we send printIQ quote questions to Infigo for the customer to verify or change? For example, verify current or choose a new role form.
Paul?
Yeah, so one thing we have brought in, I don't believe we did quote questions initially, Alex, on it, but what we did do in the recent changes, originally we always had job references that could be exposed from Infigo into printIQ. That's been expanded recently to be more and more reference fields, as well as the ability to pass in additional notes and other items that are needed. So I believe the answer from memory is not currently. But there is ways and means to get that info from the customer storefront into printIQ.
Yeah.
Thank you, chaps. Naomi asks, we don't work with quotes. Our prices are fixed, so the customer only chooses the options and quantities. Can we use printIQ with fixed pricing and update annually, for example?
Absolutely. Yeah, so absolutely. So against products within printIQ, you have the ability to not only specify prices that are fixed, you can specify prices for different customers, or even leave the prices to be dynamic with a markup. So there's multiple ways of doing it. But on that point, yeah, you can fix the prices and update them however often you want, or even just annually.
Thank you, Paul. Greg asks, is the Connect Link custom product feature active now or coming soon?
Imminent. So I was working with our academy manager just this morning to create all of the support material that will come with it when it goes live. So it's not currently live, but it will be available soon.
So keep your eyes open for that one. Maybe another webinar coming, Alex. Patrick asks, so we are able to specify stock processes and other options in Infigo versus creating simple sessions for each variant?
Yes, essentially with the custom quoting piece we showed at the end, that is the purpose of it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. While somebody else types out, I'm going to go to some questions we had from earlier. This is to the panel. What have you found the most challenging aspect of a build? And I say build, I'll probably open that to web to print build and MIS, joined or separate. Who would like to go first?
Should we start at the front, Alex?
The most challenging, did you say, Chris?
Yes.
Nothing.
Love that.
No, I think like there are complexities. For example, with the printIQ integration, we support multiple, because obviously our product is a platform with multiple storefronts, and then you've got a single printIQ instance. So it's how do you get the right products into the right storefront in Infigo? So really, the initial difficulty comes with making sure that printIQ is set up the way it needs to be set up, and then you have a clear plan of how you want to attack that in your web to print. Once you are clear on how you want it all to work, implementing it is more straightforward.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Jeff asked us a question. I'm going to point this one to you, Eric, actually, because you and I have spoken about this. Can Infigo replace my website altogether? So in addition to the web to print integration, can I have other tabs like About Us, capabilities and Contact Us, etc.? Eric, you know why I'm asking you this. Do you want to explain?
Yeah, so in the middle of spooling up our web to print, I had a whim one day and I said, you know, my main informational website is just become dated and I want to redo it. And we had that in WordPress forever. That's probably the 5th evolution of our website. And pretty quickly, we just decided we're just going to use up one of our storefronts, and that is going to be our website. So my main website is built completely in Infigo, even though there's absolutely no transacting going on with it. Maybe at some point I'll do that, but it's as a content, I don't know if there's a word for that. It's just so much easier to build websites, and especially since we're all familiar in it. Now anybody needs to go edit anything, we're all familiar with it. So yeah, absolutely. It makes great just website software too. You don't have to conduct business if you don't want to.
Thank you, Eric. So basically, chaps, that means replace your WordPress website with an Infigo platform. and then you can also integrate it later. That's the answer to that question. Eric also says, so this integration works with a simplified or custom quotes. Are simplified products necessary to use this system? Open to the panel.
Yeah, so I can cover that one.
Yeah.
So the integration that we showed initially is based on products. So that is the products can be used within simplified sessions, but they're standalone SKU products. With what Alex showed at the end, with the custom quotes, that essentially alleviates the need to create the products within printIQ. Because it's being generated from what you would use within the custom quotes. It reduces the setup quite a lot in that space.
Thank you very much, Paul. We have another one from Rob. We have a few larger online ordering sites that would need to be migrated into Infigo. Understanding that this is the case, or by case, how successful have the migrations been? We are meeting with Paul later today.
So, Rob, it would have been interesting for you to join this morning's call. We actually had another customer on, a lady from Ubiquity Media, who have been with us for a couple of years now and been through a lot of the integration process with us. And they have ambitions to move over 120 plus customers from their existing web to print into Infigo, and so they are going through that process at the moment. I think she mentioned there are about 30 at the moment.
She did.
But the challenge that they have at the moment is that they're trying to move over existing customers onto Infigo, but because of Infigo and printIQ together, they're also winning new business. So they're also winning new business, putting that onto Infigo and printIQ, and then also migrating existing customers over. So how successful has it been? I mean, we can send the recording of that out to you, and you can hear it from directly from them. But they would say on two parts, from existing customers and improving the relationship and the offering that they have for them has been successful with the ones that they have migrated, and also obviously it's allowed them to win this new business that they potentially wouldn't have had the opportunity to win if they had not.
Thanks, Alex. Rob, we will send that recording out to you. It is ready, so we can email you the link to that later on today. I'm going to move over to the other questions from this morning. So I'm going to aim this one at Rob at printIQ UK. What's the top 3 benefits to the business since it's integrated or gone through the integration?
So the two parties together, so Infigo and printIQ, I think one of the main benefits is obviously you're removing a lot of double entry of data. So it's a massive benefit there. The slickness of the integration, and probably the third one, I would say it's just having everything in one system that's flowing realistically. So you're not coming out of one thing and into another. It's just that seamless integration.
Thank you very much. Got another one here on the integration. It seems to be that people are asking about the complexity. Is it complex to get the two systems to talk to each other? Does it take a long time? I guess there's some concerns there. I'm going to throw that out to all of you, really, because I think you could all answer that. Is it complex?
Well, let's let Eric answer, because we can say no, but Eric's been through it. So
No, that making the actual connection between the two is very simple. What you want to do with it becomes the bigger question, and but actually making that connection is nothing. It's a few settings and mapping some fields.
So Paul and Alex have done all the hard work, have they, with their development teams? Okay, one final question to close us out, and this is to both Infigo and printIQ, or maybe combined. Do you offer a full turnkey solution in which you integrate the solutions for us?
Paul Bromley?
On the spot there, Alex. Yeah, we can do. And I think that's one of the things between this. It is a relationship. And I think, as you'll see with Paul Van Tongeren and Alex and the whole team, we are friends, because we do work very closely together. So we try and take as much as we can from the customer. Obviously, we need a customer involvement. Ideally, the customers should have someone that's got some knowledge in the business, because ideally, again, this is a lot of ideals in there, but we want you to understand what's going on, because in the future you may need to integrate with other systems or add things on. So we do an element of that ourselves. So we'll meet with Paul Van Tongeren and likewise with Alex, and we'll try and take that heavy lifting away from you, and we'll then do the testing. But then there'll also be an aspect in the future where we can't say it's solely, plug and play, if you will, because as Eric said before, it's then what else do you want to do with it, and where does the integration stop?
What we can do is obviously via our We Build packages, Paul, is that we can spin up a storefront, whatever it may look like, depending on your requirements. We can build that for you. So from an Infigo part, we can hand over a fully working Infigo storefront. Obviously, there's a lot of dependencies on printIQ, having that set up and how that's set up in order of how the two can communicate. But from a printIQ, from an Infigo perspective, most certainly can hand over a finished storefront, whether it be B2B or B2C.
I think one of the, if I may, Chris, one of the largest things we're seeing at the moment is for IQ creating statement of work. So one of the things that Paul Van Tongeren does, I think, with Alex, so if it is an integration for the two companies here, we create a full statement of works, which we can actually, both parties can build from. So that's really important for the customer as well as us as the builds, realistically.
So the answer is yes then, chaps, from both parties. I like that. Fantastic. I'm going to try and squeeze two more in because I've just had an absolute belter. Do you recommend bringing in an MIS solution, then a web to print, or the other way round, and why? And that's to all of you. What's the order?
printIQ first.
No, I would agree. If you get your information and everything sorted, and then
it depends, I think, Alex, what the customer wants as well, doesn't it? It's something that can be done roughly at the same time and then joined. But it's building out that solution first.
Yeah,
and it depends what you want.
Yeah, I think good one for Eric to answer that, because you could be looking at revenue streams. So the important thing for your business could be, I want to approach new markets and have a wider influx of revenue. So what were your take, Eric?
I did it that way. I did printIQ first. I think it could be done either way. I don't think that there's going to be a wrong way, but I think I would do it the same way again. Just because I think printIQ, there's a lot more to consider, a lot more to build. Getting, especially with us with so many pieces of equipment, it was just nice having that core thing done, so that when we plugged Infigo into it, it literally was days from the time we got everything set up that we could have customers start placing orders. So I think that MIS first is probably the way to go, but either way will work.
You validated that. We'll take your word. Your word is final. Craig, last question from Craig. He asks, can you talk about your support experience with Infigo, contacting support with different time zones from support perspective? So I think this actually is quite an expansive question. We could talk about how Infigo's support works being a UK-based company, and for how it supports the US. And then Eric, you can explain, I guess, on how you find, does that affect you being based in the US?
No, I don't think the time difference has never been an issue for me. I've told you guys that I wish, and no slight on printIQ, support is great there too. But Infigo is by far the best support organization I have ever worked with in software, period, full stop. There's just no company that does a better job of not just quickly answering you, but usually giving you a right answer the first time. If there's just something you're not understanding, they don't make you feel like an idiot. They set you on the right course, and super quickly, super friendly. I don't know. I wish I could clone what Infigo does for support and give that to all of my software vendors. I can't say enough about the support.
Thank you, Eric. That's just about us. We're going to wrap up now. Craig, I hope that covers your question. Thank you to Rob, Paul, and Craig from printIQ. Thank you to Alex and Paul from Infigo. Thank you, Eric. Thank you for joining us today. The recordings will be up shortly. We'll get back to those who have asked questions for resources within the next 24 hours. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your input. Goodbye for now.
Thank you.